It's great to be here. Thanks everyone for joining this presentation. Like Rosalind said, my name is Bridgette Black, and I lead a small team of researchers at AirBnB. So today I'm really excited to talk about this topic, to walk you through a case study in which my team and I accelerated our research through a collaboration with Dscout. During this session, we'll talk a little bit about the situation that basically precipitated this program. We'll walk through that program we developed and its impact on my team. I'll share with you some of my favorite gifts, and hopefully you'll leave with some ideas on how to accelerate your own research if that's meaningful to you, as well as a potential model for collaborating with Dscout. And to begin, I'd love to start off with a somewhat controversial statement. Research is too slow. I'd love to get a show of Zoom hands here. Who has ever heard this statement or something similar from a non-researcher teammate? Anyone? I see a couple hands going up. I have as well. Also wondering, who has ever found this to be true themselves? Have you ever caught yourself thinking that research is too slow? All right, a couple folks as well. Me too. And my team recently encountered this sentiment in a very real way. So last year, we had new leadership join our team, the guest experience team at AirBnB. And perhaps some of you have felt this way, but we really thought it was a good opportunity to impress the new leaders with our research, to ensure that research was always a part of their strategy and decision-making process as they were getting acquainted with the team. And this group of leaders was very passionate about elevating the voice of the customer, quite literally. They sent out weekly emails surfacing customer quotes. Sometimes these were somewhat anecdotal, not always derived or backed by research as we would define it. So they were elevating quotes from their friends, quotes from folks on LinkedIn, basically, customers that they had encountered in their own lives. So of course, our team was really interested in taking advantage of this customer passion, but we were also interested in shifting the sources of those voices closer to our own work and closer to something that we could back up with rigorous research. And this was in 2021, over a year into the pandemic. As you may know and likely have experienced firsthand, the unpredictable nature of the pandemic really contributed to our collective lack of focus as a team, as a group of humans. And with so many things to distract our leaders as well as our team, we really needed quick and punchy content to engage our team and help them focus. So for us, this meant prioritizing succinct video clips and other really engaging formats that would hold people's attentions in order to deliver our insights for maximum impact. And then the final ingredient in the recipe here was that we had a tiny team. We only had 3 full-time qualitative researchers who could directly contribute to this opportunity that we had to elevate customer voices with rich media and video clips covering new, relevant topics on a weekly basis. So it was really exciting for our small team. Also very fun at first. But perhaps, as you might expect, we ended up feeling a little bit like this. It was very rewarding to see our research highlighted so often to a very broad team, but it didn't feel totally sustainable. We simply could not conduct research quickly enough on the myriad of new topics that were coming up that were very salient to our leaders, while also staying true to the longer term research plans that we had had concocted, as well as just the rigor of the work that we wanted to do. Again, as many of you know, it can take a while to get from question to an answer backed by a rigorous study, but also in this compelling video format that we thought was so effective. But the typical timeline of creating a plan, conducting recruiting, conducting interviews, synthesizing, ultimately video editing, it regularly took a month or more to present from answer to question, or from question to answer. I apologize. And by that time, our stakeholders may have answered the question in their own way, like I mentioned, through their personal contacts, their own perceptions. And, that really felt like a missed opportunity for us when we weren't directly contributing to that strategy. So, which brings us back to the question, or the controversial statement rather, that research is too slow. This really summed up how my team and I were feeling during this busy time, trying to guide important strategic decisions across a large range of topic areas. Our challenge, as we defined it, was how could we take advantage of this great opportunity and provide a continuous stream of topical video clips backed by rigorous study, and really ensure that our team was always guided by research. We felt that the solution to this problem was to develop a rapid research program, but one that didn't compromise research rigor or team health. We wanted to make sure that we were providing insights, not just anecdotes. And we also didn't want to feel like we were on a hamster wheel. And in discussing this with our team, we decided we needed to optimize for 4 main things. The first was flexibility. We needed to ensure that we could launch a study on a whole variety of different topics, because these topics could change at a moment's notice, not necessarily in a way that we could always predict. We also needed to optimize for quick turnaround. This was non-negotiable, again, because of the situation we were in. We wanted to ensure that the reports that we were delivering would always be relevant to the current times. And we wanted to ensure that our research was always baked into the strategy, even as new and exciting topics were coming up. We also wanted to prioritize limited effort from our immediate team. This was important for us because we wanted to ensure that we were also able to run longer-term research, more longitudinal work that might take 6 months to a year to fully complete. But in the meantime, we wanted to make sure that we were answering these really top-of-mind relevant questions. And then finally, we were really committed to video clips and ensuring that that format was going to be applicable and going to be shareable when we conducted this research. So we decided to pilot a program with Dscout in order to achieve this goal. And the spoiler alert here is that we did a pretty darn good job. We created a program called Ask a Guest Anything that has now been running since last December. We have a pretty well-oiled process at this point. And so I'm sure you're asking, how does this actually work? And that's what I'm excited to share with you. Okay. So let's break it down, starting with flexible questions. We kick off each round of the Ask a Guest Anything program by soliciting topics from our stakeholders. And honestly, we keep this pretty simple. It's often just an email like this one, written to our key stakeholders on the guest experience team. I also keep a running list of potential topics, or try to even read the tea leaves to predict what might be coming up and might be on the top of people's minds. But honestly, I love the simplicity of just reaching out and asking what's on people's minds. And our leaders really responded well to this. They would often respond with one topic that was just burning in their minds, or even a couple different ones that we would then sort of negotiate and prioritize amongst ourselves. Next is quick turnaround. After receiving these questions, I then start drafting a survey questionnaire. And here's where Dscout really starts helping out. I don't know about you all, but there's a big difference in time investment between jotting down quick questions that I wish I could ask participants in the wild and actually crafting a decent survey, which is one of the reasons why this partnership has been working quite well. I get to drive the questions and kind of the setup of the survey, translating them directly from my stakeholder email or conversations that I've had with them, and referencing any existing research that we might have on the topic. And then the Dscout team really helps me formulate not only a very thoughtful survey, but also one that's suited for the Dscout participants, the scouts, if you will. All these little tips that I would never have thought of on my own. For example, I remember hearing that it's really helpful to remind participants who are using Dscout to create a selfie style video to ensure that we're seeing their face and not potentially something else. Or even after a video question, considering adding a similar open-ended written response question to help with the speed of analysis or finding just more verbatim quotes. So this really helps us out. The next thing on the list here is the quick turnaround. Again, this is a challenge with research, but it was a non-negotiable requirement for us in our situation. So to illustrate how this quick turnaround works, this is an example schedule of how the Ask a Guest program operates from start to finish. So as you can see here, my team and I start to draft our questions and send them over to Dscout on a Monday. Another way we keep this simple is by using a fairly consistent screener. This program is called Ask a Guest for a reason, because we're always targeting Airbnb guests or some flavor of that participant pool. So we've created a pretty consistent screener so that I can easily target those participants or very easily adapt that screener to retarget a niche within that group. And then over 1 to 2 days, we craft that questionnaire, like I was mentioning before. Again, my team driving and Dscout smoothing things out, making sure that the survey is ready for the scouts and positioned to deliver the best possible insights. Then we launch a Dscout Express mission by the end of the week. And analysis is done the following week, meaning that we get our results by the following Friday, if not before. So in total, from writing the questions, fielding the research, to analyzing and synthesizing the results, it takes less than 2 weeks. This is a huge cut down in time compared to our typical process from question to answer in a video format. And next up, let's talk about effort. You may have noticed analysis on the previous calendar. Dscout really takes care of the analysis for the Ask a Guest program. But they do so with our input, which I think is really valuable. Their team submits an analysis plan for us to review in that first week of the program. This is where I can maybe specify any key comparisons to make, or really let them know what sort of video clips I hope might emerge from the study. And every report is delivered according to a template that we co-created and have adapted since we initially launched the program. This template makes it very easy for my team to understand the insights at a glance, to find more details that might be compelling for our stakeholders, and to translate them into a deliverable and product recommendations that we share with the Airbnb stakeholders. Again, it's really helpful that this process is collaborative. My team has the context and the product knowledge to craft those more specific recommendations, but we really lean on Dscout's help to illustrate the findings themselves. And so I'm always just so pleased when I get these emails in my inbox from the Dscout team, letting me know that the work is complete and that I can just dive in and see what's emerged from the study. So essentially, my team gets to sit back and relax like this. I'm kidding, of course. This really frees up my team and I to work on other longer term projects and keep us off that hamster wheel that we were discussing earlier. And finally, we get to create great video clips. Again, this was such a priority for us considering the distractibility of our team and the appetite for really rich insights in a video format. So for those of you who have used Dscout's tools, this view should look rather familiar. And it might be the best aspect of the program overall. It's a whole library of videos, short and sweet responses to questions that we asked each month. And we really take advantage of the Dscout platform. The team helps us create multiple video clip highlight reels for each round of the research that we conduct. And we send those reels directly to our stakeholders. I'll just put them back in the email, or we include them in the weekly emails that are going out and share them with the broader Airbnb team. So now that you know a little bit about how the program works, setup that we've formatted for this program, let's talk a little bit more about the impact. And to kick it off, we'll talk about impact by the numbers. Since we started this program at the end of last year, we've now delivered 9 reports. So 1 report every single month on a whole different topic. This translates to 27 curated reels conveying key insights to our team. Again, really the bread and butter of the Dscout platform. And this also means that we've reached over 2,000 participants since we first started this program. 2,000 voices that we wouldn't have otherwise elevated or taken into account for these key questions that our team was approaching. And I also want to talk about impact in the context of use cases. So the program, like I mentioned before, initially started as a way to get really quick answers to top of mind questions that we might highlight in this weekly email. And while it continues to do that, we've also used it for so much more. We've used this program to help us identify unique participants for other studies and follow-up studies related to these topics. We've also used the program as a springboard, essentially, for other studies that we would conduct internally. So this program helps us get those high-level insights, and then we might dive in deeper to understand a certain theme that was emerging there. And we've also used this program to get really quick feedback on big launches that Airbnb has worked on. Again, this has just been such a wonderful program to have set up and have in our back pocket. So when we get those very timely requests, we're really ready to jump in and support them from a research perspective. And finally, impact by the stories. Again, this is really what our research is all about. Our leaders, our team are thinking about these stories and about perspectives that are outside of themselves. We've covered just so many interesting topics in this past year, including memorable hospitality experiences. We've talked to guests and potential guests about how they want to be supported by customer support when something interrupts their travel plans. And we've also asked them to describe their ideal travel insurance process. So really a whole range of topics. And all in all, while this is still a very painful topic, right? And perhaps a profoundly controversial statement that research is still slow, we all know that there are plenty of good reasons for research to take its time. But thanks to this program, I think that at least a few people on our team are starting to think the opposite, that research can be rapid and it doesn't have to compromise rigor or the health of your team. Oftentimes with this program set up, I felt like I have an entirely extra headcount on my team, another person that's just always there and available to answer questions that are coming up. And to wrap things up, I want to tell you a little bit about where we're going next. So we're working with Dscout to expand to a more international audience. We started to do this for a couple of our last rounds, and it's been really interesting to include more than just US participants in our studies. We've also been experimenting, tweaking, and adapting our deliverables, as I mentioned before. I'm particularly interested in developing more visual formats and experimenting with different types of highlight reels that our stakeholders might appreciate. And then finally, we're sharing the success of this program with this group here, as well as with other members of the research team at Airbnb. And really, we've been excited about the fact that we can accelerate our research in a way that's been very impactful and meaningful for the whole team. And that's everything that I had to share with you today. Again, it's been such a pleasure working with Dscout, and it's also so exciting to be able to share this case study with you all. I hope you learned something or that it's sparked some ideas about how you might accelerate your research or work with Dscout. And I know we don't have time for questions right now, but please reach out to me if you'd like to talk more about this program or anything else. Thanks so much.